The world's first supersonic passenger aircraft was not British-French Concorde. It was the Soviet Union's ambitious creation, the Tu-144. During the Cold War, the Soviet Union invested enormous national resources to take the lead over the West in supersonic aviation. This passenger aircraft, carrying the nation's aviation ambitions, could reach a speed of Mach 2.35 and carry around 120 passengers. In late 1968, it completed its first flight ahead of Concorde, becoming the world's first supersonic passenger aircraft. At the time, the British-French Concorde was already undergoing flight testing, while the United States had also launched the Boeing 2707 project. The Tu-144 may have won the glory of being first, but because of immature technology and insufficient reliability, it ultimately failed to achieve long-term commercial operation and quickly disappeared from the stage of history. In the late 1960s, the global aviation industry was undergoing a profound transformation. As aircraft technology advanced, the dream of supersonic flight began entering the public imagination. The Western Concorde stood as a leading example, pointing toward the future of aviation technology. But the Soviet Union clearly refused to fall behind. Faced with Western control over advanced technology, Soviet leaders decided to accelerate the challenge. They wanted to design a supersonic passenger aircraft that could surpass Concorde. Surpassing the West was not simply about technological superiority. It was also about winning global recognition for Soviet aviation technology. However, this was not simply a technological competition. The Tu-144's design itself carried strong political significance. Just like the Soviet space program at the time, aviation technology was about more than speed. It was also about national pride and global influence. The Tu-144's design clearly drew inspiration from military supersonic bomber technology. Unlike Concorde's streamlined appearance, the Tu-144 looked more rugged and aggressive. And to achieve higher speeds, its wings and fuselage featured significant sweep angles. The delta wing design became one of the Tu-144's defining features. Although this design could reduce aerodynamic drag, it also exposed the aircraft to enormous aerodynamic forces during flight. The Tu-144 was designed to exceed Mach 2 while maintaining stable supersonic cruise. To achieve this, the aircraft was equipped with 4 NK-144 engines. Each engine produced approximately 15,000 kilograms of thrust. With afterburners engaged, the aircraft could reach Mach 2.35, surpassing Concorde's Mach 2.04. However, the cost of supersonic flight was far greater than expected. Fuel consumption was enormous. During each hour of flight, the aircraft consumed almost twice as much fuel as a conventional jet. In addition, the intense vibration and extreme temperatures generated during supersonic flight made aircraft maintenance extremely difficult. At times during flight, the aircraft's surface temperature approached 200 degrees Celsius. The fuselage therefore required specially designed heat-resistant materials. For aviation technology, this was an unprecedented challenge. The Tu-144 was initially planned to operate long-distance routes such as Moscow to Paris and Algiers. However, when the aircraft actually entered commercial service, the noise, fuel consumption, and high ticket prices associated with supersonic flight created unprecedented challenges for the Tu-144. Noise pollution was the first major problem the Tu-144 faced. Unlike Concorde, the Tu-144's engines incorporated relatively little noise reduction technology. As a result, the aircraft produced extremely noticeable noise during flight. Combined with its smaller cabin and high-temperature environment, passengers generally gave it poor comfort ratings. On the other hand, its high operating costs also left the Tu-144's commercial future hanging by a thread. Although the Tu-144s could fly faster than Concorde, its enormous fuel consumption and limited range made its actual operating efficiency far lower than expected. With market demand unable to support it, the Tu-144's brief commercial operation came to an end. In 1978, the Tu-144 was involved in a fatal crash. This incident undoubtedly brought its troubled story to a critical turning point. Although the aircraft's structural design received considerable recognition, the intense vibrations generated during supersonic flight meant its stability and safety could never fully meet the demands of civilian air transport. After the accident, the Soviet government and aviation industry began reassessing the Tu-144. Eventually, they decided to ground the aircraft. This technologically advanced aircraft became a symbol of the collapse of the supersonic passenger aviation dream. Although the Tu-144 holds a unique place in aviation history, its legacy is also filled with regret. Despite the Tu-144's commercial failure, its technological achievements provided valuable lessons for later supersonic aircraft design. The Tu-144's breakthroughs in supersonic flight, especially in wing design, flight control, and supersonic cruising, provided valuable experience for the aviation industry that followed. The Tu-144's design philosophy influenced Soviet and later Russian research into hypersonic vehicles and advanced aviation technology. Its exploration of supersonic passenger aviation also helped push international aviation technology forward. Although the Tu-144 never became a regular aircraft in commercial aviation, its place in world aviation history cannot be ignored. The Tu-144 may have had a troubled fate, but it remains one of the greatest attempts in the history of supersonic passenger aviation. It carried the ambitions of the Soviet Union and symbolized the enormous gap between the dream of supersonic flight and the realities of technology. Even so, the technological breakthroughs represented by the Tu-144 continued to influence later aircraft design and helped lay the groundwork for the future of supersonic passenger aviation.